I own a cattle ranch that stretches farther than most people's patience. Walling grass, old oak trees, a seasonal creek, land that's been in my family for 3 generations. So when I came back from a 3-day business trip and saw orange flags slicing straight across my south pasture, I knew something was wrong. By sunset, the answer arrived in the form of a backhoe. I pulled my truck up beside the crew and asked the foreman what they thought they were doing. He barely looked up from his clipboard. "Whole project," he said. "New water pipeline. We've got permits." I told him to stop. He laughed and said, "Take it up with the association." That night, I checked county records. No easement. No permission. No agreement. Just an HOA trying to save money by cutting straight through my land instead of paying to reroute around it. My attorney sent a formal cease-and-desist before midnight. By morning, they'd ignored it. At dawn, I watched from my porch as trenchers carved a scar across my ranch. Trucks rolled in nonstop. Pipes stacked like steel snakes. When I called the HOA president, she answered on speaker. "You're holding up community infrastructure," she said smugly. "We're proceeding." I reminded her, politely, that they were trespassing. She replied, "Sue us." So I didn't. Instead, I made one call. You see, besides running cattle, I also happen to be the majority owner of a regional water supply company. We don't deliver directly to homeowners, we supply municipalities, HOAs, reservoirs. Quiet work. No signs. No publicity. Including theirs. By noon, my legal team had verified something interesting. The hose pipeline wasn't just illegal, it connected to our main feed line. Which meant they couldn't legally activate it without my company's authorization. At Dushotarotepim, I seen the temporary compliance freeze. At Duganishtepim, their water contractor received an automated notice, unauthorized infrastructure detected. Supply approval suspended pending investigation. The trenchers shut down by 3. The HOA emergency meeting was scheduled for short. I arrived early and took a seat in the back. The board members looked rattled. Phones buzzing. Papers scattered. The HOA president, the same woman who told me to sue, was pale. "Our contractor says the pipeline can go live," she said. "Something about supply authorization?" That's when I stood up. I can't explain. Every head turned. I introduced myself calmly. Ranch owner. Trespassed land. Ignored cease-and-desist. Then I slid a folder onto the table. Inside were 3 documents, county maps showing my property. The lack of any easement. A copy of my company's ownership filing. Silence. "You ran a pipeline through my ranch without permission," I continued. "Then you connected it to a water source you don't control." One board member stammered, "We pay for that water." "Yes," I said. "You buy it from us." The whole president's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. "You own the Idogi." That's when the panic set in. They asked about turning the water back on. I explained the process: environmental review, legal remediation, land restoration, penalties for unauthorized construction. "How long?" someone asked. "Best case." I shrugged. 6 months. Residents started calling. Faucets slowing. Irrigation systems failing. A developer threatening breach of contract penalties. The board begged. I made one offer. They would remove the entire pipeline from my ranch. Restore the land at their expense. Pay a trespass settlement. Publicly admit fault in HOA records. Only then would I lift the freeze. They voted unanimously. The pipeline was gone within a week. Grass replanted. Creek restored. Fences repaired. And at the next HOA meeting, the president resigned. I never shut off their water. I just reminded them who actually controlled it.